So welcome back to the show, and now I have the privilege to have Louise Hay on the call. Hi, Claire, how are you?
Hello, Bertrand. I'm really good, thank you.
I'm not really sure how to call you, Claire, Louise, or Louise Hay. It's really a great
You can call
name.
me Claire.
So, Claire, you are the founder of Be Healing, a kind of an organization that is here to help people. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it is and what is your mission here?
Yeah, that's right. I started Be Healing, the online website, to do my work online because I was finding that I wasn't reaching enough people, or I wanted to help more and more people. And I was doing, I've been a full-time professional healer and psychic now for about 10 years. And so I wanted to open it up to more people and start reaching more people with my work. And so it kind of developed to the online work about 3 years ago. And once I'd started working online, other healers started to approach me and ask to work for me, and so it's kind of grown from there. And Be Healing, it's all about the healing process in life. And so when you want to manifest something in your life, or you want to move forward in some kind of an area in your life, whether it's relationship or work or whatever it is that you want in your life, what I've found is that the conscious process of manifestation, so the thinking about what you want and not what you don't want, and using affirmations and things like that, that's just part of the story. So many people are using those kind of techniques and still not achieving the results that they want. And so what we do at Be Healing is we use our psychic skills to help people to uncover the blocks. And so it's your whole energy or vibration that manifests. That's the creative force in your life. And so the conscious part of it is just part of the story. What you haven't healed, what you haven't released in your past is still creating what you're experiencing in your life. And so what we do is we use our psychic skills to find out what those things are in the past and teach you how to release them, how to heal them, how to move forward. And so it's a really powerful process. We find a lot of people, if they've had traumatic experiences, or if they've had experiences in their life that they haven't had the skills or help, support at the time to heal and release, it just kind of gets locked away in the subconscious. And often we just completely forget about it, forget about what it is, and then it's hard for them to recall and actually fix it themselves, heal themselves. And so what we can do with the psychic readings is we tap into their higher self and ask the higher self questions about what it is that's holding them back. And of course, as soon as we tap into the higher self, we get the clear answers. And so then we can take them through this healing process. And so I generally work with people via Skype or via email, and it's a really powerful process. You know, I start with somebody who's really emotional. They're talking about something that they want in their life, and they're just really emotional about it and don't know why. They can't understand why they're emotional. And ask their higher self and give them the details, and then teach them how to release it. And so usually at the end of one of my sessions, you know, there's a really happy person at the end of it, just raring to go, and I've released a lot. So yeah, it's really powerful work. And now we are kind of branching out into doing more kind of class kind of situations so that we can help more and more people. So webinars and video classes to teach people how to take themselves through that process. So, and retreats as well. That's our next thing too.
Yeah, that's great. So you're really leveraging the technology now to create this world as what we would call in the technology world a global village.
That's it. And for me, I find that working on the online is really powerful because generally I don't know who the person is. I don't know anything about them, and they don't give me any information before I start the session with them. And so the information comes directly from their higher self. When I can't see them, when they're not there in person with me, I can't guess anything about them. My ego doesn't get involved at all because it's got to be pure channeled information. And so online work is just far more powerful for me because I can't guess, because I can't make a judgment about somebody. So yeah, it's a really great way of working.
Yeah, and I fully agree with you. And that's why today now we're talking to people in roughly 120 plus countries, which is really, really great and amazing to be able to do
Yeah.
this. So when you were talking about the blocks that we have in our unconscious mind and how this is really, how can I say this, sometimes acting like a cross purpose to what we have, what we consciously want to create. So something which you really, our conscious mind wants to go in one direction, and our unconscious say, no, you can't do this because you have this, and it's trying to protect us.
Yeah.
When you say that you're using your intuitive skills to be able to find what it is, how does this work? Is it something that you channel yourself? Is it something that you find, you read, you see pictures, or I just would like to know.
Okay. I would say that I work more clairsentiently than anything else. So it's a feeling. It's just the information is instantly there. It's not a voice. It's just the information is just immediately there in my mind. So sometimes I'm a little bit clairvoyant. Sometimes I'll see pictures, especially if I'm working with my eyes closed. I'll kind of see images to give me more clues. But yeah, generally I tend to use some little cards that have like one word on them like this, and use those. I pick some of those to keep me on track, and so like my guides will work through those cards to keep me kind of really focused on what the message is, what the most important message is for the person. And yeah, the rest of it's just there instantly in my mind. I don't know, it's really hard to describe because I've had these psychic skills meaning being able to hear people's minds all of my life. And so when I was growing up, I thought it really strange that other people couldn't do it, and I soon realized that it wasn't kind of a good thing to keep on, letting everyone know that this was what was happening, because it freaks people out. And I went probably to the end of my 20s with kind of keeping it to myself. Some people would know about it, but I keep it to myself. And when I started meditating much more and getting really high level information from my guides, I was in a corporate job. I decided to give up my corporate job. And as I was giving it up, I just thought, well, there's no point in holding back my gifts now. And so I just started freaking people out even more. And so I was doing things like picking up ringing phones that weren't even my phone and saying hello to the person that was on the end of it, calling them by the name and things like that. And yeah, really. And things like when people would say, oh, you'll never guess what, I would tell them straight away what they were thinking about. And yeah, but the real power came when I was meditating a lot. What was happening to me was I'd gone through my 20s, like working in this corporate job that I didn't like at all. I wanted to be a healer. That was where my passion was. And I decided to kind of throw it all in because I'd kind of been working for money without any real bigger purpose than that. And it didn't make much sense to me. And I wanted to kind of throw everything away. And so when I did that, of course, I had these big questions inside of myself, well, what is life about then? If it's not what I've been taught, it's about making money and all of those things that I've been taught as a child. It's like, what is it about? So I was meditating and with those questions in mind and started to get answers like instantly in my mind from my guides, and started to write it all down. And so I channeled all of these messages about what life was really about, and it's completely transformed my life. I don't actually have those documents anymore that I wrote. I think I gave them to somebody else, but it just profoundly changed my life, and I started to follow a completely different path of doing my healing and learning all sorts of different things about myself through some really varied and exciting things, from traveling around the world and working in different countries and meeting different people. So yeah, it's kind of developed through me, these gifts, in really wonderful ways. Yeah.
So you said you had them since you were a child, and all your life you had them. And,
yeah.
But there was some kind of calling inside you that kind of pulled you to become a healer. And how come you become a healer into this world of manifestation, or is it across the board, even for people with physical issues or something like this? You can also heal them.
Oh, yeah, it's totally across the board because everything is a manifestation of our energy, including our body. And so I did start out by helping people with their bodies and their minds, first of all. And so when our body is just a manifestation, like a physical manifestation of our spiritual energy, of our total energy. And so any problem that we have within our bodies is like a communication from the body about what's going on emotionally and spiritually. And so my readings were about what the emotional and spiritual reasons were behind something. And so I do a lot of that work in helping people that have missed the signs. You know, what happens is you have an emotional issue and the universe gives you signs. You know, it's showing you through people around you and, you know, books that you pick up, and you get so many signs about what it is that you need to heal. And when people don't listen to that, when they're not aware that they're getting these signs around them and what it really means, they can miss that. And so what happens is it kind of builds up, the signs get bigger, and then the body will start giving them messages too, so they can't ignore it, you know. Things like, I had somebody contact me, this was about 2 years ago now, a lady who was distraught and she was really angry. Her father had died of lung cancer and she needed help, and because she was really angry at cancer itself. And so I did a session with her, and what her higher self was telling me was that her father's mother had died. I'm not sure whether it was cancer or something else, but he was so angry at the death and hadn't dealt with his grief, hadn't expressed his grief properly. It turned into anger, and grief and kind of resentment and anger turns into cancer. And when it's in the lungs, it's about grief. Okay, so that's when you feel it. When you've got grief, you kind of feel it in that area. And so he had taught her how to not deal with grief. And so when he died of cancer, because he'd never dealt with it, she was following exactly the same process that he'd taught her, and she was just going to end up with lung cancer the same way unless she snapped out of it. And so luckily for her, she contacted me at that time, and I could make it clear to her that if she carried on in this direction, the same thing would happen to her, and she would teach it to her children, and so it would go on. And that's what doctors would call a genetic disease. And it's not genetic, it's the patterns, it's the teaching that's passed down through families. And so yeah, we completely transformed it in her by me teaching her how to express the grief and release it instead of being angry at the disease like that, so that she didn't need to, so she could stop that whole passing it down the line. So yeah, the medical stuff, medical intuitive stuff is really, really powerful for people, because that's usually when they've really missed a lot of signs. You know, that's really the last kind of resort. The last resort of the universe in the signs is when they're given an illness like that.
Yeah, and sometimes also the illness or whatever condition we have, it's because we are not ready to change before. We're not able to take any action before, and until we have the gun on the head nearly, that we don't have a choice, then we can take the action. Yeah.
Well, everyone's experienced it. I'm pretty sure that everyone's experienced this. You work too hard. You know, you're putting too many hours in your job, and you're getting worn out. You're getting those signs that you're getting worn out and that you need a break, but you don't listen to it. You carry on working, and you get a cold. And the cold stops you and makes you stay home and take that rest that you need. So that's like the smallest version that we've got of it that everyone experiences. And if we listen to the signs beforehand, and we all get them beforehand, and actually took the action of having a break, then we wouldn't need to get the cold. Our body wouldn't need to force us to stop in that way. So yeah, from the smallest thing to the biggest kind of health issue or symptom, it's all about what's going on emotionally and spiritually.
Yeah. So in your view, everything that we have in our body, every sickness, illness, and so on, has a root cause into what we believe or a pattern of our thoughts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing. It's very, very counterintuitive, especially in our cultures.
Yeah, yeah. And it's my dream, my biggest vision, whether it's going to happen in my lifetime or not, is that people, instead of going to doctors and trying to deal with symptoms and things, will go to a healer who's going to teach them these things. They're going to teach them what the emotional aspects are to it and how to release it properly. And then, see, when that happens is that we can all be real conscious creators and start, creating magnificent things instead of just dealing with all the things that are going wrong within our lives. It would make a much more powerful culture.
Yeah. So we talked about a little bit the pattern, the genetical pattern. We call this like this, and I know it's not really true. It's more a family repeating pattern that we have here. But this can impact how we are manifesting our life today completely. And how about our past lives or our current life? How are these patterns currently working in our disfavor or in our favor, and how can we use them or identify them so that we can then move forward?
Mm-hmm.
Very long question.
Well, I do these these readings that I call them soul journey readings, and it's about that very thing. So what happens is we have a higher self, which is part of source. Some people call it the soul or the spirit or whatever. And that higher self has a purpose for us. And so even though when we incarnate as a human being, we kind of forget who we really are, and then we can consciously create our lives of whatever we want to experience. All the time, our higher self has this mission of what we want to accomplish. And this mission is tied in to past lives. It's almost like Earth is like a school. We come here to learn and to create things. And just as you would go to primary school and then senior school and then university, and what you were studying would be linked to each other within those schools. And so, you'd have an interest in primary school in maths or something, and you'd take that through to senior school, and then you'd study it in university. Same with lifetimes. We take what we're wanting to learn about through different lifetimes, and we experience different aspects of it through those lifetimes. And so my soul journey readings go into why you've incarnated this time, what it is that you really want to accomplish or learn within yourself, how it relates to past lifetimes, because we have people show up in our lives that have had maybe an opposite kind of a role in previous lifetimes, or we've had experiences within other lifetimes, and when we meet those people, we have this really strong connection with them and would feel really attracted to them, and often they're the ones that are going to give us the biggest lessons, and so they're the ones that hurt so much, even though we're really attracted to them, because we've kind of got these contracts, these soul contracts, to help each other on our journeys. And so for myself and for many healers, we incarnate into families who are really abusive, and we suffer a lot of abuse, and we incarnate into that family for a reason, and it's because we want to have a big desire to be a healer by healing ourselves first, and so that we can have the experiences and the knowledge and the wisdom and the processes and the skills to help other people heal. And so you would not have the desire to be a healer without having the experiences that you don't want, first of all. And so this happens for many people. You'll find that artists will be born into families where art isn't appreciated or supported, because rather than it being accepted, that artist might just not have a deep desire to do it. They might just, not have that kind of real push to pursue their own thing. And so we have this kind of goes from past life to current life in that we have these missions to complete, and we're always adding on to it. In every lifetime we add a bit more to it. We create a little bit more to our story and put it there in our higher self, and our higher self will help us to create what it is that we want to do, and until we die, and then we'll do it all over again. If we choose to, we'll do it all over again.
So really the purpose, not really the purpose, but the reason why we come back here is either to learn a new experience, or either to be able to heal something from a previous experience, or to experience the opposite of a previous lifetime. Because sometimes it could be that we did something really nasty in one lifetime before, and then we're coming here to be the victim instead of being the aggressor.
Yeah, that can happen, but it tends not to be. That's kind of how karma's viewed, is you'll do something and then you'll receive the opposite. But that's not really what's going on. What's going on is you're adding to skills. Like, there's no wrong or right according to our higher selves at all. There's just experiences. And because there's such a wide range of spirits or souls here on Earth, there needs to be a wide range of experiences available, like a wide range of contrast available. And so the person who is like killing people and learning that it doesn't feel good to do that, and emotionally that they're trying to learn how to deal with that emotionally afterwards, there's nothing wrong with that. Even though our human mind said there is something wrong with that, that's really wrong, that shouldn't be happening. It's just a learning that spirit needs to do, okay? And it's not necessarily because they were killed before. It's just that they want to learn emotionally in that way. And so we come here to grow emotionally and spiritually, to experience different sides of things. So when I'm doing my soul journey readings, there might be somebody that is a doctor. So they're a doctor in this lifetime, and they've had previous lifetimes as energy healers and herbalists, and they'll have all of these different experiences in different lifetimes, and they just want to experience a different side of it, to get more information about it, and to experience a little bit more about it. So it's to kind of grow their spirit and grow what their higher self, the information that their higher self has. And so what happens is when you're tapping into what your real spirit's mission is, you'll feel really passionate about it, and you'll find that it's what you really enjoy and what you love. But you'll also find that the information comes to you really easily. And that's because your higher self passes that information to you directly that you've learned in previous lifetimes. And so when you're tapping into it, the information will suddenly be there for you, depending on how many lifetimes you've been through and how much work you've put into it. And so, some people might incarnate in this lifetime because they've finished off a learning process in the last lifetime that they've had, and they want to start something completely new. And so it might seem to everyone else looking around that they are kind of more inexperienced souls, but they're not. They've just finished a process of learning something and mastering something, and then they've moved on to the next thing, because we have this urge and this joyful urge to keep on doing this. As much as some people can't believe that they would actually choose to do this and live this life if they're not having good experiences here. We choose it all, and we like it challenging. We like our spirits to be challenged, because that's when, as I said, when we're experiencing the really hard things, the things that we'd call bad, that's when we can really grow, really have a desire to improve.
So when you were saying that our spirit being is coming back here and really likes the challenge, but this is really our joy, is really to have this experience of life. That's one of the things why we're coming back here, the joy of life.
Yeah, the joy of life, the joy of experiencing all the experiences that we want to have, the joy of challenging ourselves to grow and expand ourselves and learn about different areas and increase our knowledge and our skills and everything. Yeah, we're here to be conscious creators, to learn that we are really creators. We're source. It's within ourselves, that's who we are, and to learn about whatever it is that our spirits really want us to do next.
Claire, I know it's not really completely in the flow here, but I think it's an important question. It just came to me. You just said you used to work in the corporate world, and you were maybe not fully fulfilled here. And how was it this process of moving from the corporate world to become a healer? Because why I'm saying this, because I have this feeling now that a lot of people listening to this may have a feeling inside them that they need to change, but they don't know how to do it. So it's just really using your experience a bit here to share with us.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when I had that feeling that something had to change, I couldn't put my finger on it. I just knew that I was unhappy. I knew that I didn't want what I had, even though it seemed on the surface like I had everything. I had a 6-bedroom house. I had a brand new car that I'd bought with cash, and I was earning a lot of money, and it seemed like I had everything, but I was deeply unhappy because my self-worth was down on the floor. I'd grown up in an abusive household. I didn't understand what my self-worth was, and so no amount of money or a bigger house or a bigger garden or a better car was going to ever fill that void in me. And so I didn't know all of that at the time. I just knew something had to change. And when I was going through that process, because I was asking these questions within myself, what is life about then? This can't be it. This is really boring, and it's not making me happy, and it's just making me frustrated and unhappy. That's when I started to meditate a lot more and get this information through. And what happened was, I'd always been interested in healing, and so that's what I was doing in my part-time. Is I was learning about healing, but I wasn't really understanding that I could do that. I still had these limitations in my mind, that I wouldn't be able to make money, or I wouldn't be able to support myself and things like that through this, because it wasn't a real job, But I had such a big, overwhelming desire to experience something completely different that I kind of threw everything in. But the reason that I kind of gave everything up, I gave up my house, my husband, my job, everything. I gave away all my money, everything. I gave it all up. And the reason that I did that was because while I was meditating, I was getting all of these answers through. And not just that, I was getting physical manifestations in my life. So books were appearing in places that no human being could have put them in, with the information that I needed. These huge physical signs were turning up to show me that my reality wasn't what I thought it was, and that I really needed to change everything, the way that I thought about life completely. And so things that would seem impossible to me at that time, was being shown that it was possible, and so things could manifest out of nothing. And so this gave me just an incredible faith to just go with it. If these things were happening, then I needed to go with it, because it was really exciting and really much more fun way of living than what I'd been doing. And so I threw everything in, and it was really funny because I had to give a lot of notice, because I'd worked for 8 years in this corporation, and I had quite a few months' notice, longer than anyone else would, because I did a particular job where I needed to train somebody to do it before I left. And so during this time, as I said, I was freaking people out more, because I was just letting them know my gifts and things before I left. But everyone thought I was going crazy because I didn't know what I was going to do next. They're like, well, why would you give up this job? Because, and you have nothing to go to. And it's like, it's okay. I had complete faith that it was okay. They thought I was crazy. And the weekend before my last week, I I didn't have my children that weekend, and I was going to go out with a friend on the Saturday night. And this friend was coming to pick me up. And for some reason, I got ready to go out way earlier than I should have done. And so I was just kind of waiting. And what I would do usually is if I had time to spare, I'd meditate. I very rarely watched the TV. There was a TV in the house, but it was kind of the children used it when they were there, and I would never put it on. But for some reason, I went into the lounge room because I was ready and I had an hour to spend or something, and I put the TV on. And there was this program about this couple that had gone to Africa, and they were helping orphans to find extended family and kind of putting them into these families, into their uncles or, into extended family kind of situations, and helping those families to survive with an extra person on that load kind of thing. And so I watched that, and that finished, and then I flicked the channel, and there was a program about Africa and the animals in Africa. Okay, and while that was on, I just kind of left it on, and the newspaper was in front of me, and I turned over the page, and there was an article about Africa. And I was like, okay, I've got it. It's Africa. I'm going to Africa. And then on the day before my final day, I received an email, and this email was from a charity that I'd been involved with, and they'd sent this email out to the whole of the mailing list saying they need help in Uganda. Is anyone available to go out and help there next week? And so, of course, I said yes straight away. That's where I'm going, and that kind of started off this learning process that I have, which has been really varied and took me to many countries and lots of experiences to teach me what was really important by going kind of completely in the opposite direction at first. And so I gave everything away, and I was doing charity work, and I had all of these experiences where I wasn't being appreciated because I had no self-worth. And so I was doing everything for free and thinking that I wasn't worthy of anything. And I just got lessons, because when you're not balanced like that, you just get lessons, whether you're wanting something for nothing or whether you're giving everything away for nothing, you get really hard lessons. And that's what happened with me in doing the charity work that I did. Not only with the people that I was trying to help, not really help because there was nothing wrong in the first place. It was just my perception of them, because they were very different and their lifestyle was very different. When I actually went to Uganda and lived there, they could teach us much more than we can teach them. They could fix us much more than we can fix them. They do have some problems there, like with health and things, but the way that they live is so much better and kind of community-wise. They're all growing their own food. They don't have pesticides and all of that. They do have a really great lifestyle and really great community. But it's very different to the way that we live. And so, first of all, I just thought, well, how arrogant of me to think I could go over there and help in the first place, and that there was something wrong in the first place. Not only that, but the people that ran the charity were bullying me. Were wanting more and more from me, were not satisfied with the amount of money that I was making for them, as well as the help that I was doing. They were just wanting more and more from me. And, I didn't realize this at the time, but I was just getting these lessons about being out of balance, about trying to help people. That was what I wanted to do. I'm like, well, I'm a healer. I just want to help people. And, it doesn't matter about me. I just want to help people. But of course, it did matter about me, because what was the core behind it was my low self-worth that I hadn't healed within myself. And so, of course, that was manifesting my experiences. So even though I was kind of heading in the direction of healing, I was just getting all of these hard lessons of trying to help people, firstly, who hadn't asked, and by not accepting energy back for myself, not thinking that I deserved it. And so it's been a big journey. I ended up here in Australia doing my healing work and still getting those kind of lessons, until it all kind of fitted together in my head, and I realized that it was my self-worth that was the problem. And and I'd built everything else up, self-esteem and all of these things, feeling really good about myself, doing great work, but my self-worth was still down there on the floor. Still thought other people were more important than myself. I wasn't accepting that energy back to myself from the energy that I was giving out. And so when there is no balance like that, you can't help as many people as you want to help. And so my guides took me through this process. I published a book last year, and my guides told me clearly, you're not going to reach the people that you need to reach with this book, because you will not accept the energy return from that. And so, if I want to help 1 million people with that book, then I need to accept multi-millions of royalties back to me, and whatever else comes with that too, increased business and all of that. And I just wasn't at that level yet, even though my work was at that level. And so they've taken me through this process of finding out what my self-worth was, and actually healing it from my childhood of when my self-worth was, taken from full self-worth when you're born. You're born as a baby, and you're worth so much that you'll scream your head off even if you've got the slightest discomfort, because you know that you deserve for it to be sorted out. To going through those experiences and beliefs, and being told that I'm not worthy of anything. That's that's what I've been doing lately, is just clearing all of this self-worth debris, and which is really great, because now that I've done that, it's really opened me up to helping far more people than I could ever help before. And so it's a really exciting time for me at the moment.
Yeah, and when you're talking about self-worth, and it's amazing because it kind of reflected what I was experiencing also at some level. I was not feeling worthy of receiving stuff, even if I was, as you say, affirming this, and I was working on this, and I was getting better. But it's so subtle under the radar screen, and it's such a soft energy that is blocking, because it's not like something is really hard blocking here. It's very soft. And the day that we put the finger on this, then we can say, oh yeah, now I understand. Yeah. But yeah. But it was funny because you really had a mirror image of people bullying you and so on, that was really telling you, we are doing what you're doing to yourself, in fact.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was manifesting it all.
Yeah. Which was amazing, And so you said you moved to Australia, and so currently you are in Australia now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and okay, this one I know because we talked last week about this. But the place where you are is a little bit special.
Yeah, I moved to Byron Bay, which is it's like the healing centre of Australia. It's a holiday kind of town, but it's next to a volcano, a dormant volcano now, called Mount Warning, and this whole area was formed by the volcano erupting, and we're at the most easterly point of Australia, and so it kind of made this cape. And the lava itself has formed into obsidian crystal, and so the whole of this area is on a layer of obsidian crystal. And if you know anything about crystals, obsidian is a really powerful crystal. What it does is it forces issues into your face for you to heal them. It's a really strong healing crystal, but it forces you to do it consciously and immediately. And so people come here, whether it's on holiday or whether they just want to live here for a short time or live here for a long time, and straight away they're confronted with what it is that they need to heal. And so you get a real mixture of people. You get people that, can't stay here very long, people that aren't ready for that and just kind of get chewed up and spat out. You get people that come on holiday, and when I had a shop in town and I would help people through and give readings for them, people would come on holiday who had just got married even and say, I don't know what's going on. I was really happy. We came on our honeymoon and I don't even feel like I should be married anymore, and I'd give them readings. And so these kind of things happen. For me, It was sexual assault and sexual abuse that happened here once I'd arrived, which was about me not healing it in my past. So it's what went on in the family and after that as well. And so it forced me to deal with that too. And so everyone has these experiences when they move here, and it's only those that can really stick with that process and heal themselves that get to stay here. And so we have this amazing community of people here, so many healers, of course healers, because they're the people that can deal with these energies because they know the processes to go through to heal themselves. And it's a great area to live. It's once you're comfortable with the healing process and are aware of it and will carry on with it because it never ends, you're never done with it. It's just a really good place to live because of that, because just the whole law of attraction thing of everyone being in one place that is healing themselves like this. And, and we have amazing things here as well. We have really conscious, creative people that are creating amazing things. And so we're a bit spoiled. We have a lot of things here. And every time I'll say that to someone, it's like, we're really spoiled, aren't we? We have all the best things that we can possibly have. And they'll say, yeah, but we deserve it. We've done the work,
Exactly.
And so it is. It's quite different than anywhere else. And everyone that lives here, call it the Byron bubble, is when you have to go somewhere else. It's really confronting because people aren't like this, anywhere else. And so, you go to this city and it's just crazy. And as I said, it's a holiday. It's a holiday destination internationally. And so people come here, their higher selves bring them here thinking that they're going to have a nice holiday, and then they get confronted with their issues when they're here, which is perfect because this place is full of healers, so full of people that can help them.
That's fantastic, It's also incredible because you decided to move to Australia for a reason, and you arrived to this place, which is the perfect place for you. But first to finish healing what you had to heal, and then become a healer.
That's it, yeah. And the reason that I moved to Australia was I was living in the UK. I was traveling, as I said, I was living in Uganda and Germany and all different places. I would never stay still because I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel at home in anywhere that I went to. And when I was going through that process of leaving the job and everything, I decided I needed to get away from it all. And I was chatting with my best friend from school through email saying, I don't know where to go, but I really need to get away. And she said, well, come over here. She'd moved to Australia a year previously with her work. And she said, come over here, come and visit. And I thought, well, why not? I've got the money. I'll go over. And so when I came here, I was only here for 2 weeks, and she had organized my visit so that I'd be spending like 2 days in each place so that I could get the most out of my time here. As soon as I got to Australia, it felt right. It felt like home as soon as I landed. Just the whole energy of the place felt right for me. And she had me stay in Byron Bay for 2 days, and it was the only place that she had me stay that I wasn't staying. And so I arrived here, booked myself in a hotel, and went out to meet people. And the people that I met are still my friends now. And when I went back to the UK, I knew straight away that I wanted to move to Australia. And I told everyone I'm moving to Australia, and they said, you're crazy. You went for 2 weeks somewhere and spent only 2 days in each place, and you want to move there? And I said, yep. And so they said, oh, no, really, you need to go and stay for longer. So a few months later, I came back for 3 months and stayed here in Byron, stayed in Brisbane and travelled a little bit, but tried to stay in one place and just loved it. And so, yeah, I applied for my residency, and that took 18 months to come through, and then moved here. And so that was 8 or 9 years ago now. But yeah, I haven't regretted it ever since. It's just the perfect place for me.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how you find this place, or this place found you. I'm not really sure here, because the story goes in both ways. I feel this. You talked about your book before, and I think that you have 2 books out, unless I'm mistaken here.
I've got one book that's published already, one that's in the process of being published within the next couple of weeks. And so The Healing Path Within was my first book. This is 365 days of guidance and affirmations. And so you can read the day's guidance when you wake up and meditate on it, or just keep it in your awareness for the day. Or you can use this book as an oracle tool. So like you would use a deck of oracle cards to have your higher self or your angel guides answer your questions. You can think of a question and then open the book at random, and you'll get your answer from that. And so, yeah, that was published last year. That's called The Healing Path Within.
And if you don't like the answer, what you do?
You just keep on looking for the one that you want.
Okay.
That's what usually happens. And my next book is really exciting because it's called Beyond 2012. It's exciting because I wrote it 3 weeks ago. I went to bed one Friday evening, and as soon as I started to try and go to sleep, I had this idea to write this book, and I kept on waking in the night, and I was trying to write the book in my head, and it got to 5 o'clock in the morning. I thought, I'll just get up and I'll write this book. And so luckily I didn't have anything to do that day on the Saturday, and so I got up and I sat there at the computer for 12 hours straight and wrote the whole thing. And while I was writing it, my partner was giving me drinks and giving me food to keep me going on it. And yeah, so it's this book wrote itself, and it's coming from a positive perspective of what we can expect this year in 2012. And it's called Beyond 2012 because I want the people who are ready for this information to read it, and so not the people that are fear-based and thinking that the world's going to end, or that horrible things are going to happen. And that's not who this book's for. Probably about 15 years ago, when I first heard about 2012 and that something was going to happen, I asked my guides straight away, what's going to happen? And they told me there's going to be a conscious choice to be made. And in all the years until now, I've asked the same question, they've given me the same answer. There's just going to be a conscious choice to be made. And it's only when this year started did they start to give me more information about what that actually meant. And so I've been channeling this information when I've been doing healing webinars every week. There's 2 a week now, where I'm helping people through the ascension process and releasing resistance and things like that. And while I've been in those healings, all of this information about what is happening in 2012 is coming through me. And so I've put all of that information into a book so that it's more widespread, so that people can read it. I'm not sure whether it's going to be a widespread book, because I don't know whether a lot of people are going to be going through this ascension process. It's happening because enough people have had the desire to experience something new. Enough people have had a spiritual awakening and had the desire from many years ago to experience something much better than they have been experiencing here. And what I've been told is that what's happening is a conscious choice. It's a choice in consciousness. It's deciding whether you want to operate from fear or whether you want to operate from love. And the people that are wanting to kind of shift and ascend are the ones who are desiring to experience something much better. And so what's happening is, just as the law of attraction has you surrounded by those that are of a like energy to yourself, and you don't have access to people that are a completely different energy as yourself, this kind of division is getting stronger and stronger. So those that are completely fear-based already don't have access to those people that are completely love-based, and vice versa. And at the moment, there's crossover. Okay, so there's people that have had spiritual awakenings that want to experience something better, but are still protesting fear-based things. They're still getting involved with those fear-based things, still trying to change them. And there's people who are in a kind of a fear-based, who are still getting involved in maybe bringing people down who are more spiritually inclined and things like that. So there's this crossover at the moment. And what's going to happen is that's going to divide. Okay. And so what we will experience is two different realities of Earth, which is, it's already true in a sense that the law of attraction always gives us the experiences that match us. And so we all have our own reality of Earth, really. There's millions, billions of realities of Earth. But what's going to happen is that the actual physical, what we're experiencing and what is happening to the planet is going to be very different to one group of people than it is to another group of people. And so what the guides have been saying is that the range, the contrast that we've got of spirits here, from spirits that are just kind of setting out and very fear-based, kind of operating from what they need from life, survival kind of, or ego kind of a place. And you've got people who are consciously creating and just kind of flying high and wanting to experience so much more. That contrast is huge. And as I said before, Earth is like a school for spirits. And we have here on Earth everything that we need in abundance for us to be able to grow. What's happening now is it's like we've got this massive school that's got university students right along with primary school students, and they're all in one school. And it's stopping a certain group of people from having the experiences that they need in order to grow even more. And so the people that are ascending into this new reality are going to have a very different experience of Earth. And so that's kind of, in short, what it's about. But the ascension process is about raising your vibration and releasing every attachment that you have to fear. And this is a natural process. Everyone's been taken through it, is being taken through it who has the desire to do that. And so people will be experiencing all sorts of things like feeling the need to break free of people in their past that aren't aligned with them anymore. Even break free from people in their recent future that aren't aligned with them anymore. Of breaking free from fear-based kind of society structures. And all of this is just about not focusing on it anymore, about shifting your conscious away from it and opening up to solutions. Okay. And so for one example is energy. So a lot of people will be thinking, why are we still using oil when we have the technology? We have these amazing technologies to get free energy, yet they're not being used. Why aren't they being used yet? It's because while we're in the reality that we're in together, they can't be used yet because they're not right for a certain group of people. A certain group of people need to remain in the Earth that we've known to have the experiences that they need to kind of be abusing the planet in a way, even though you can't really abuse the planet because the Earth is here to provide us with any experience that we want to have in order to grow. They need those experiences to grow. And so there's nothing wrong with that. It's just they need those experiences. And the group that are ascending need different experiences in order to grow now. And so this is what's happening. So it's a very exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating what you said here. Because when you were talking, and I could just not picture, but imagine these two groups. But I have a lot of people in my circle, in my friends, that have had a huge acceleration of ascendance, if you want, in the last 2 years. Really massive. Yeah. But not because they wanted to, because they were presented with no option. Either to go in one direction, which will be to be completely in a world of being a victim, or in a direction where we have more control and more creation in our life. Okay, I'm part of this group, but and it's just amazing because the more I'm talking to my friends, the more I'm realizing that the shift now is starting to ease a little bit, and that's really nice, really lovely. And that's
Yeah.
great. And it's exactly what you said. And I think that your book is, okay, from my reality that I see on day to day, it's really a good, is probably what's happening in the world today. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's probably a good view of this.
Yeah.
That's great.
And so what I've heard is that the 2012, this date that we keep on hearing, the end of 2012, is the end of a process that started years ago when people started having the desire to experience something better, had these spiritual awakenings. The solution was put in place. And so time has speeded up. Everything is speeded up to get us aligned with this much higher vibration reality that we're moving into. We need to ascend into it because we need to match that vibration. And so our vibrations need to increase to be able to get into there. And it's like lifting up to that new energy level and that new experience. And so it's going to finish this year. And
that's good. And hopefully we will have a far better work. Claire, our time is up, and it's amazing because it was really, really interesting, really incredible. So if people want to go to be in contact with you, what's the best way?
My website's called behealing.com. That's behealing.com. And they'll find me through there. I'm on Facebook and everywhere too, Twitter, and so they can contact me through there. If people want to email me directly, my email address is claire@behealing.com. And so you can see everything that I offer on behealing.com, private sessions as well as programs that I'm putting together, these video classes to take you through healing processes. And hopefully I'm going to bring out a lot more books. I've got a program in place at the moment called Attracting Your Soulmate, and that's got a program behind it of video lessons and homework to do to take you through that manifestational process, including the healing aspects of it. And that one's really powerful. I've got another one on its way very shortly, which is about abundance. The Healing Path to Abundance, that's called, and there'll be a book being published as well to go with that. And so, it's constantly changing on the website, and so you can go to the website and look what's new on there.
Yeah, I went on your website and I was just really stunned by the number of testimonials that you have of people that have shifted and are really are now over this kind of cross purpose we talked before about what they want in their life consciously and what their unconscious is not allowing them to do. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, Claire. It was really a pleasure to know you. And if people really want to know more about what you're doing, about the type of healing, the type of channeled healing, or as you say, inspired or intuitive healing, just contact Claire, and it will be fantastic. I know some friends that are using your services, and they're really, really happy.
Yeah, great. And thank you for having me too. It's been great to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.